Yes, everybody, welcome back to the channel. This is 5 things that we learned. Yes, you're right. We are almost back with the season upon us this week, actually. And we will have Premier League football back. Manchester United in competitive football back. Feels like it's been a minute, but it's also been a blink of an eye at the same time. So we're going to have a look at 5 things that we've learned across pre-season then. Let's get started. In at number 1 then, Elanga is on the verge. Now, even though he missed the last game through injury, I think a lot of people would agree that Anthony Elanga has probably been United's best player of pre-season and a little bit of a shining light. He's shown electrifying pace. He's got real directness about the way he plays the game, and I think he's come into this. He's come into it looking fit for starters, but he's come into it with a lot of confidence, and that's been rewarded by some of the goals and some of the play that he's been able to feature with. Now, he could also play a big part early on in the season with the injury to Marcus Rashford, the only just emergence of Anthony Martial towards the back end of pre-season. There are opportunities in the team here for him to be able to stake a claim and get some first-team minutes under his belt while everybody is still sorting themselves out and getting back from Euros duty and injuries and all the rest of that sort of stuff. Now, he's managed 3 goals in a United shirt already, and he's shown a knack for just being involved and being in the right place at the right time, making great runs, intelligent runs, and getting on the end of things. Now, there's tons of promising youngsters at the club. I thought the door was closing a little bit on Elanga, but sometimes opportunity knocks, and at the moment, opportunity is rattling on the door for Elanga. You can only take the opportunity that is offered to you. If the opportunity never gets offered, you're never going to do anything with it. But there is an opportunity here for Elanga, and he could go on and provide a real option for United while people are still fixing their injuries from the summer. Number 2 then, midfield dilemma, or is it healthy competition? Now, the midfield area is the one area that I think most United fans are unified in agreeing that we need a starting player. We need a number 6. We need someone to come in and go, I got this, don't worry. Now, it could be the lack of a definite starting first choice, cemented midfield single pivot. That means that the current midfielders have got a lot of fighting for their place. It could mean that there is pressure to perform. It could mean that none of them are getting comfortable, and it could mean that this competition for places has raised the levels just a little bit. No midfield signing, and there is some talk that there won't be a midfield signing. It's shown that the main issue hasn't been such the gaping hole that it was at times for us last season, but it is going to be figuring out what the best combination for United is. Are we going to go to a midfield 3? Okay. What does that look like? Are we going to go to a 2 and a 1 like we had for large parts of last season? Okay. What does that look like? I think the only person that knows he's going to be playing week in, week out is Bruno. I think there's still a question mark over Paul Pogba, mainly because of his versatility that he could feature on the left-hand side, and that kind of links into the point above about Elanga. He could feature on the left-hand side and just be given a pure creativity role, or he could feature in the middle if he's going to be a long-term and Ollie wants to put his faith in him doing that. Matic had a strong end to pre-season. Again, didn't feature a lot last season. Isn't maybe suffering from the sort of burnout that some of the other players could be. Has he given Ollie a bit of a headache in terms of disrupting the McFred sort of partnership? Where does Pogba fit, as we just sort of said? Sancho signing means that there is so much talent now going forward in the forward areas. Does shoehorning Pogba on the left-hand side make sense? Would you rather a midfield where he could maybe be a bit deeper on the ball and provide an outlet to find Sancho and get the best out of him? Where does Van der Beek fit into this? There are a lot of questions. I don't necessarily know if it is a full-on crisis or a dilemma. I think that's probably been a little bit giddy in terms of labelling it. But when you think about what we've just levelled up at centre-half, could we focus now? Could Van der Beek and Pogba, well, that's a bit adventurous, it is, but with Varane and Maguire behind them, can we afford to be? I think the first few months are going to tell us a hell of a lot. It's going to be an interesting ride because I don't think Ollie knows yet. I don't think he knows. Number 3, are we built to outscore? Now, one thing that we saw from Ollie's early reign as Manchester United boss was a free-scoring Manchester United. And that changed a little bit when he got the job on a more permanent basis. I think he started to address the major issues that were involved in the team. And one of the things that he's done fantastically well is if you just look at the makeup of the back four, Luke Shaw was done as a footballer until whatever Ollie has helped do and help reignite within Luke Shaw. And Luke Shaw now is undoubtedly first choice in that defence. But even though he was at the club, he wasn't playing. The back four was Valencia, Young, Smalling and Jones. Look at that now, and then look at what we're going to be lining up with probably next week. Varane, Maguire, Wan-Bissaka, Shaw. It's night and day difference. And Ollie's had a large part to play. Now the forward three could be Rashford, Cavani, Sancho, with Bruno just behind. Night and day difference. Absolutely night and day difference. Now, I say we built to outscore because we scored at least 2 goals in every single preseason game. Okay. It's a bit of an embarrassment of riches going forward, and we haven't even seen Jadon Sancho yet. Or Marcus Rashford, or Cavani. We scored the most goals in the league last season since we've won the title. And we've also added to that. Amad Diallo obviously has come in. Greenwood has really cemented his place as part of the first team squad. Elanga looks like he could be emerging. There is a bit of a depth to some of the talent here as well. Now, some of those are very, very fringe, and some of them are more established. But there is a depth to the talent that United have got there. Now, United going into this season looking way more dynamic and dangerous, actually, going forward. Capable of scoring in multiple ways, match winners all over the pitch, which excites me. Previously, United could have been accused of being shaky defensively. Not a prayer are you calling Wan-Bissaka, Varane, Maguire, and to a lesser extent, Luke Shaw, shaky defensively. You're just not. I'm not having that if you are. And that's why I think maybe the midfield could be built to create more. And the defence just pure stop. Especially with Wan-Bissaka. With Jadon Sancho being on the right-hand side, could you afford to maybe be a little bit more adventurous in that and just tell Wan-Bissaka, just cover, deal with the 1v1s that are crossing, be the guy that goes and stops anything that comes over the halfway line. Because obviously he's got his weaknesses as a defensive player, positioning, the sort of things that are natural to some defenders when you're only converted at 18. Obviously, he's still got a lot of learning to do. I think he himself said he wouldn't have minded maybe doing another season at Crystal Palace to do that learning, because obviously it's very difficult to do one straight United. But, you know, this United team could be set to just be one of the most exciting we've seen in a long time. If we can start conceding less, you might just see us outscore. Interesting. Exciting. Greenwood's growth is continued. Number 4. Greenwood has looked very strong and sharp in pre-season, and he's had the bit between his teeth a little bit. Fortunate goal at the weekend, but he was alert to it and able to capitalise because he was in the right position and because he was on his toes. And sometimes that's half the battle, especially with centre forwards. Being in the position and able to react is everything. His progress has continued, and he's also showing signs of being moulded into a very, very scary player. He looks more assured and physical enough to play in that number 9 role, which I think by the time he's 24, he will own, but he ain't there just yet. And I think he's also just steadily just working his way, working the kinks out, working the right things to do. And Cavani's an excellent person to be linking with and learning from. I just think he looks closer now than ever to be in that number 9. I think there's still another 15, 20 pounds of muscle to add to him. I think he's also going to grow. And I think once he's done that, he's going to be a very physical prospect as well. And I think add that to the skill level that he's got and the seemingly just killer instinct that he's got, he's going to be absolutely lethal. A big question was asked after the Sancho arrival, where it was what it meant for Mason. And ultimately, I've never been worried because I think you've got Cavani probably not going to be able to play week in, week out. Those midweek games, Mason gets a run out. Sancho probably won't feature 50, 60 games this season either. And I think at the right time you're able to, and that's one of the things that having depth allows you to do as well. And you know what, you can have a night off tonight. We'll play Greenwood. Has the drop in quality happened in that when you do that? You go, actually, we'll play Greenwood over Sancho. If it has, it's not by a lot. So I think that gives United a lot of options once everybody's fit to be able to do that. And I think you're going to see Greenwood feature heavily throughout the season. I don't think that's going to be in question. And I think he'll probably feature in both of those positions, filling in as and when he's required to. And number 5, keeper controversy remains unsolved. Now, this is a bit of a stretch, I give you that, but United currently have 3 possible number 1s. 2 of them are on starting player wages. It's the one position that you need stability in, and it's the one position that we don't have stability in, and there are so many question marks. In fact, I'd go as far as to say, even more so than midfield, it's the least stable position in the squad. There is no one standout performer. At times last season, it looked like it was going to be De Gea, and then it looked like it was going to be Henderson, and then it maybe flicked back to De Gea again. It's not necessarily a negative because you've got excellent caliber in the squad for this, but I do think certainly for settling a new defender, settling an entire back line, if one person could stand out, put their head above the parapet and take this position to be their own, and I don't even care who it is, just one of you do it, that's always a positive thing. Sometimes competition helps people focus and sometimes it helps people fold. Hopefully one of them can find elite form. I think when you look at the strength of the Premier League this season, the top 3 positions, and if Liverpool could squeeze themselves into that, the top 4 positions are going to be brutal. I think United are going to be there or thereabouts, but to get ahead of Chelsea, especially if they've just added Lukaku now, Chelsea create so many chances, just Timo Werner couldn't put them away. And I didn't think he'd be that shit again this season regardless, and he's probably not going to get the opportunity to now because they brought Lukaku in. They're going to put it on a plate for Lukaku all day long, and he's going to look so good next season. Manchester City will definitely be there or thereabouts. And then I think even though United have taken great strides forward, I still don't know if they've got the squad, certainly the midfield area, to compete with Chelsea or with City. So, 3rd might be the best we could do next season. Again, it's not necessarily about beating City and beating Chelsea, even though I think we can do both. It's can we get the seriously elite level of consistency put together, which both of those clubs are capable of doing. Just completely flawless win after win after win after win. If United can do that, we will be title challengers this season. But they're the 5 things that I sort of learned on pre-season. All of that shit's done now. The real deal is here on Saturday. BT actually invited me to go into one of their boxes this weekend at Old Trafford, and I said no thank you, which is hard to take that because usually they're awesome for meeting ex-players, they're a fucking right treat. I said no man, 18 months I've not been in that ground. Last time we was there obviously was Scott McTominay's winner against Manchester City in the derby. It's United, it's Leeds, it's the opening game of the season. I've got to be in the fucking Stretford end, so that is exactly where I'll be. But Ben and Alex are going to be taking it instead, so they get a day out. But anyway, that is it from me. United are back, baby, and I cannot wait. Cheers for tuning in. I'll see you guys in the next one. Laters. Hey, thank you for watching the video. If you are new around these parts, then don't forget to subscribe. My channel is proudly supported by my community on Patreon. If you'd like to get a little bit of extra content, a Discord group, meetups, 5-a-side games, weekly podcasts, behind the scenes, and even an occasional bit of transfer news as and when I get it, then for the price of a pint, you can show your appreciation for the content that we make and get some goodies for doing so as well. Check the link in the description or click the button right here. You'll also find all of my socials here too if you want to follow me on any of those platforms. Nice one.